name is Vern. Join the channel. We cover JW World News and we give you the rest of the story. Today, we're going to the Watchtower and we have lives on Tuesday nights and Saturdays and an excellent community. So join the channel and watch as we crash into the Watchtower. Here it is. I see it coming. Woo! Join us as we report in on the Watchtower. Welcome to JW Night Talk. And if everything worked right, I should be live. And I should have Joe and Fran in the backstage along with my good wife. So we have an exciting show coming up, folks. And I'm not sure how to see the chat stuff yet. There it is, comments. Okay, so I think we're live. We have Blue Rose. He's on there. He says hi. We have Tier 5 says hi. Now I don't have my glasses tonight, so if I can't see you, I'll catch up to you. So if you're on, and for those that are coming on, we welcome you. And if you're new to the show, join in the chat. It's an excellent community. It's a community made up of love. There's a great bunch on. And the ExJw community is growing every day. In fact, I was taking a few days to look at my subscription list, and it's huge. There is a lot of new creators out there coming online and really showing their talents. Now, last week, we interviewed MJ in Context, and he's a young fella that recently left. And he started a channel, and he is actually a movie maker. He had a business making movies. He is now using his skills to help people online. And today we're going to talk to Joe and Fran, and they're going to show us how they've been using their skills to help the ExJw community online. And there's a lot of work going online to help all those that are flocking out of Jehovah's Witness religion. They're flocking out in droves. And we've been watching some of the programs and viewing in on some of the other creators and some of the information that's out there we get on our comments. And thank you to you guys for throwing those comments in and letting us know what's happening perhaps in the Kingdom Hall. If you're PMO, and you're actually going to a few meetings, let us know what's happening, and then we can share that online. So tonight we were talking about manifestation. What does it take for manifestation? We're going to talk about the ExJw community, and we're going to talk about manifesting this into something. We have something, and now to take it and grow it into even something larger, because there's more people, of course, coming out confused, and many people are having trouble. Many people are suicidal. Many people are lost. Many people are depressed. Many people are giving up on God altogether. And not that there's anything wrong with being an atheist and saying, you know what, I'm tired with all of the garbage. And I'm just getting outside of all of this religion, and I'm gonna refix my brain and look at reality. Now, did you know that 30%, I've ran this survey a couple of times, 30% of our audience feels that way, 30%. 70% still believes in something. You know, you come out, I did, I came out and I was trying to fix the Bible. I was trying to make sense of Jehovah, Jesus, and Paul, those three mainly. And I was finding all kinds of conflicts. Jesus says one thing, Jehovah says another, Paul says another, and it was causing all kinds of conflicts until I focused in on Jesus. And the reason I focused in on Jesus is because there's historical proof that Jesus walked the earth when he was on earth. Now think of it. And all we have to do is go to our Bible stories book, and we can follow what we know about Jesus. And I'm going to do this on another program, not today, but Jesus, when he came to earth, he was 12 years, well, he was a baby, and then they had to flee. We didn't see him again until he was about 12 years old. And he was arguing with those Pharisees in the temple, arguing with them to the point that he got caught up. I say arguing. JW Org likes to say he was learning something, but he was arguing. He wasn't, I don't think he liked what he was seeing as a kid. And then he disappeared. He disappeared off the scene. The next time we seen Jesus was when he was getting baptized by John the Baptist. We actually see a lot more about John the Baptist in the Bible. And then Jesus comes along, and what's the first thing he does? He does an apostate act, in my opinion. He turns over the money tables of the religion of his day. And he said that enough with the sacrifice, enough with the blood sacrifice. This is a gift. Everything God gave us is a gift, and you guys are robbers. You guys have formed this religion, and you're robbing the people, and you turned it into a casino, basically, in them days, where they just make money off people. And today, religion is like a casino. People they're giving their estates over to Watchtower, to the Mormons, the Catholics. People are giving everything over to these religions, and they're false prophets. They're all false prophets. And all you got to do is imagine just for a moment that there is actually a powerful ruler named Jesus in the heavens right now, ruling and looking down upon the whole earth. Which religion is he rooting for? Which religion is he backing? Ask yourself that question as a Jehovah's Witness, as a non-Jehovah's Witness, as a born again, as a Catholic, a Mormon. Which religion is Jesus backing? Because it's all about Jesus right now. The kingdom's given to him. It says that in the Bible Stories book. And it also says in the Bible Stories book that there were 3 people bowing down to a king of Babylon, and the 3 people were thrown into a fiery furnace. And that's what's happening today. The king of the Jehovah's Witnesses is the governing body, and everyone, there's 8.5 million, bowing down to the governing body. When the governing body says jump, they all jump. When the governing body says stop, they all stop. They bow down. And if you're standing and you refuse to bow down to the governing body and you say, I believe in God, I believe in the one God of the universe, not 9 men forming a body. I don't bow down to you guys. I don't believe in how you hide pedophilia. I don't believe in how you shun. If you stand up, you are thrown into the fiery furnace and you're disfellowship for life. They burn you forever. In fact, we have a video coming up. We're going to be talking about this. It's called familicide. Now, I'll pull my good wife on if she wants to come on, and she's going to say hi. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah. Now, she brought this to my attention. Familia, did I say that right?
Yeah, familicide. Yeah, there's actually studies being done on Jehovah's Witnesses specifically to see if how they are, I don't want to say brought up, maybe conditioned, actually can lead to familicide. Yeah.
So now, if you break that word down, the last part is side. This is the English lesson I got the other day. Go ahead.
Yeah. So familicide is classified as one spouse kills their spouse and one child. That is actually what the crime of familicide is. So it's just very interesting that you have these, I think it's the National Library of Medicine that has actually published this study that we'll be digging into, but it's just a fascinating read. Fascinating. It
is. Yeah. So we're going to cover some of that on the channel upcoming. We'll probably put some videos out on that. Mm-hmm. And that's where this Jehovah's Witness mom went and killed her whole family.
Yeah,
that covered that in the study.
Was a model. Yeah, it happened, I believe, Florida, but somewhere in that area of the States where they were shunned. I believe they were disfellowshipped. And the mom had actually spoken to the neighbor. So the mom decided that it would be better if she took the lives of her 2 children and her husband to spare them from the upcoming Armageddon. And this is from like 2017 or 2018. This is old news, but no, it's recent enough. Like I said, they're actually, and that was the case study that was named in that National Library of Medicine article that we were reading. So One other point of business before you take off here.
Yep.
Joe and Fran are backstage, of course, so thank you guys for being there. I just want to point your attention to the picture that's on the thumbnail behind Vern. And if I could get Joe and Fran to nod that I can share this story. Is that okay? Yes, thank you. So this picture of Joe and Fran and that little dog Winston was taken when they were on a road trip to California. They were visiting with their friend JP. JP, if you're on tonight, thank you for being here. Winston, the dog, apparently has cancer, I believe. So unfortunately, JP had let Joe and Fran know that, well, Winston's end was near. There was nothing else that JP could do for him. So JP, if you're here, we're very, very sorry. Lots of love your way. It's so hard to say goodbye to our little furry friends. So lots of love. Take care. Okay.
My good wife has a whole yard full of animals. She's an animal mother.
And they're all pets, of course, too. So
it's great. Animals are great therapy for all of us ExJWs and for Jehovah's Witnesses as well, because they suffer. And coming out of the religion, especially if you're suffering from shunning and isolation, we get what we call touch deprivation. You know, where we don't have no one to touch or be around, shake hands with groups. See, people are naturally we're naturally designed to want to be together as people. We at least want to feel part of something, and that's how people are, right from the beginning of the tribal times. You know, if we want to go that far. But animals are definitely a good form of therapy, and we'll do more talks on that upcoming for sure. Anything else, good wife?
nope, I think that's it. We have Joe and Fran waiting backstage with smiles on. So I'm going to get off the stage and you guys have a great show.
Thank you very much for coming on. And we may get you on later for manifestation, because when we talk about manifestation, we're going to talk about that in a bit after Joe and Fran. They're going to give us their story. And then we're going to see how together we can manifest something in this ExJw community, something that's really going to help a lot of people. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight. So Joe and Fran, we're going to pull you on. Here they are. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And
hello, everyone.
you know, we've been watching you guys. I basically woke up about the same time you guys did. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Yes, we
yeah.
started watching
And
you
yeah.
as soon as you started putting videos out.
Yeah.
We spent Christmas, Sean and I, and we were watching you guys and Rick
Wow.
and other people, and
That's
we
special.
thought that was just great. Like the 6 screens is just a great place to
Yeah.
be when
Yeah,
you wake
it
up.
is.
Rick's done amazing.
Yeah. So now tell us a little bit about your story. You guys woke up. Let's go way back. When did you first become a JW? Roughly, you know, you don't have to. And you don't have to give details that you don't want to on this show. You
don't
can say
mind.
whatever you want.
No, it's fair. Well, I was first called on alone by an ex
He was a Bethelite.
Bethelite who had
And a
just
young
come out,
man.
young man,
Mhm.
and another young witness. And they engaged me in conversation, and they proceeded to answer my questions from the Bible. And I liked that. We were looking for that. We were looking for Bible understanding for our family, as
Mhm.
well as an opportunity to volunteer for charity work as a family. But that's what we were looking for.
So then you got into the Bible study, went to a few meetings. It all like even myself, you know, it all looks good. It all feels good. It feels warm and fuzzy.
Mhm.
And then you end up spending time. Did you raise your family? Have your kids in the religion?
Oh yeah, the very first meeting we went to was a memorial, and
1985.
85, and very shortly after that, at another return visit, the pioneer offered a Bible study, and I told him the only way we would study is if you studied with our whole family. I was giving him quite an in.
Yeah, they like to split people up because they can count multiple Bible studies. But that's the best way, is to do a family study.
Yeah. Well, I didn't. I wanted the family to learn. the Bible.
Yeah.
And they did, and we did, and we studied together as a family and also individually.
So our oldest
No.
was 4 going on 5. And then we had 2 girls in the middle, and I was pregnant for our son. So
Yeah.
4 altogether.
4 kids, 4 children.
Mhm.
Interesting. Now, I'm just going to do this for a bit. I gotta take a drink of water. Go ahead and tell us, I'll give you a question while I do this. Now, and I am listening. Now, one of the questions I have, okay, you before you studied, did you know the Bible? Did you have any knowledge of the Bible, or were you like me? Like they started me out in the Bible stories book. I was 19 years old. The Bible stories book was the first thing I studied because I knew nothing about the Bible. Now you go ahead. I'm gonna remove myself and tell us a little bit about that.
Well, we were both brought up Catholic. I had 12 years of Catholic grade school, Catholic high school. Fran, you were?
I went to church on Sundays and went to, just church.
Yeah, and you probably had
Catechism and all that.
things like that. But at any rate, we used to read from the Old Testament, Hebrew scriptures, when we were very young in school, and we would read in turn. And so I was aware of the Bible. The catechism was the biggest thing, but the Bible was just a little bit. And all it did was it left questions from the information that we were reading. Interesting thing, we were reading from Exodus, and that was where from an early age, I learned that God was called himself Yahweh. That's one thing I did learn in the Catholic school, which I remembered my whole life. I just never heard it again in the Catholic religion.
No,
And
I was
then-
going to ask you. Oh, sorry. Did you end up like you see, Joe? You seem like a really assertive person. Now they would have used you as an elder very quick, no?
I suppose they mentioned something like that, but I wasn't so quick to be interested in that. I wasn't a joiner. I was not a joiner. And honestly, the last thing I wanted to do is join another religion. I was open only because it was an opportunity for a family to be part of other families, because there were other young families, and it was good for the socials. And so that was my hope, that it would have been good for the family interaction with other young ones. And at the same time, we would be learning Bible and Bible principles.
And
Was it good for the family?
Well, in ways, yes.
Yes.
In ways.
It was. And I was the social one. I enjoyed people and meeting new people and going to meetings and all that stuff.
I would have gone to meetings every other week, just to make a presence. And Fran was interested in the continual connection. So, I deferred to the fact that it was my family that I was interested in, the children and Fran, and so I was open. I was open for that. I mean, the schooling that I had previously was for counseling and student personnel.
Oh, really?
So
Okay.
I understood what it meant to be open to things and to be open for others and to learn something.
Like a
Joe
school
went-
counselor, like a
It was
college or high
college.
school.
College, yeah.
Really?
Joe went to 6 years of college.
Yeah.
I was a teacher. I went to 4
Really?
years of college. So I was a teacher. So we had a background before becoming witnesses.
Yeah. What did you teach, Fran? Just out of interest.
I taught fifth grade.
Fifth grade, eh? Did you teach
Yeah.
all the subjects like math, English, all the stuff?
I specialized in science because they needed a science. At that point, they had divided. They had 3 teachers. One was doing math, one was doing science, and one was doing the history and social studies. So I was hired for the science.
Did you guys do any research and development? in science? Theories? Put out some theories? Any of that kind of stuff? Or was it
Not in
too?
fifth grade.
That's grade 5,
No.
right? I'm talking college.
Yeah, no, not in fifth grade. It was pretty basic stuff.
But you have the skills of teachers, both of you guys, and counselors,
Yes, we do.
both of you guys.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, when did you get baptized? You got studying when you were in the 30s. and-
It took a while. We started in 80.
85, we
Five.
started studying, but we
We brought difficulties.
we had a bad marriage.
We brought marital difficulties.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so they through the study, they realized that we had difficulties getting along. So they said, you're not going to be able to get baptized right away, which was understandable. It was fine.
Mhm.
It was something we had to
we had to work on.
worked on, and that was good. It was good for that.
So it took us 3 years to get baptized, but we were going to all the meetings, we were going
Yeah.
out in service,
Mhm.
and people kept saying, how come you're not getting baptized? And,
Yeah.
we said, well, eventually we will.
Yeah.
And we did. So, matter of fact, our very first convention, we had only been studying a few months, and it was an international convention. It was the one in Montreal
Yeah.
in
Oh, wow.
1985.
was big.
Were you there, Vern?
No. I was in all across the world. When you go from Canada,
Yes.
it's like East Coast to West Coast. I'm on the
Okay.
West Coast in Alberta.
Okay.
And
cool.
85, I wasn't into it that hard to go and travel to a convention.
Yeah, so
I was
did.
studying in
We did.
81,
We
82.
did.
We did.
I was
83.
pregnant. We didn't have any money. Somebody put gas in our big old station wagon.
Yeah.
We stayed at McGill University. It was this tiny
Mhm.
dorm room. There was only one little bed. And since Joe had a bad back, I said, you sleep in the bed. I'll sleep on the floor with the kids. And we did, and we had a great time.
We had help.
Mm.
Well,
And we had help.
another
Mhm.
Bible student was there, and
Mhm.
he helped us, and it was good. It was good for that.
Mhm.
Friends were developing.
Mhm.
There were friendships developing. For
Mhm.
that, it was good.
And that's what we're going to talk about tonight is that like people need
Mhm.
community, right?
Yes.
And that we're going to talk about how, what you're talking about is a really good lead in because you joined because you felt you needed community, some religion wouldn't hurt. God, you start learning about God. Ooh, Jehovah, he has a name. I remember I went around and asked everyone of my worldly family, did you know God's name's Jehovah? That was a big thing, right?
Right.
But now we know it wasn't really, but it was a big thing to know that God had a name. We felt different. We felt a bit
Yeah.
superior. The religion is designed to kind of make you feel superior. But along the way, I think, there's some of the facets like the Bible Stories book, which you do learn. There is quite a learning involved. And you do learn the Bible narrative, at least through the Jehovah's Witness eyes. And there is a Bible narrative. I always say, maybe they have 90% of it, probably fairly correct, the narrative. But there's 10% they're always throwing in. And that's where they throw their twist in. And I'm going to cover that on some upcoming videos just through the Bible Stories book. And I think the first place, if I was to imagine a community where we could undeprogram us. I got programmed through the Bible Stories book. I programmed my own kids through the Bible Stories book.
Mhm.
I bought the Bible Stories book cassettes. We'd put one on every night for my son, my daughter. They'd go to bed listening to this stuff. It's brainwashed into their
Yep.
brains.
Same
Now
thing.
we have to take the same Bible story book, call it the Bible Story Book, ExJw's Witnesses. We're allowed to use all the pictures and stuff, even though they might have a copyright on them, because we were a part of the cult. We've contributed to it. We're ex-Jehovah's Witnesses. So we have a license, kind of unwritten, that we use the fair use, and we can use all that crap. But we need to use the same stuff and deprogram through that book. That's what I think. That's what I've been thinking about for the last few days. And maybe take the book.
And Vern, what struck me too is they taught us everything we need to know about them, as well as the skills to expose them.
Mhm.
Yes, they did.
So
We
that's
actually have a badge of honor.
So
I tell people.
that's exactly what our aim is.
Yeah. So, we think of, I often think, and sometimes, I should get my good wife on here. We're going to talk about imagination. Come on if you want. I imagine a lot. I live a lot, and I had to when I left the Jehovah's Witness cult. I started living in my head.
Yeah.
And so what I made in my mind is I made safe places to go, and I made stories, and I started writing these stories, and these stories would lead me on a journey. And there would always be some vortex hole that I could get to the other side to see kind of godlike people that were very knowledgeable. And all the stories are like that, every one of them. And I think it was a way of, for me, setting up a safe place to go in my own mind. I created my own narrative. I created my own through my imagination to not, because what, you come out of the Jehovah's Witness cult, what do you think about? You think Armageddon, you think I'm an apostate. Oh no, I'm going to die. I'm in a cult. No, I can't be in a cult. Oh, come on. You fight with all of this stuff for months on ends, and sometimes people can never get through it.
Yeah.
So I imagine, when I imagine as we came through this, right, we're here together. Maybe we were all in this for a reason. You ever think of that? I imagine things like that we
Yep.
could have been here.
Yep.
So if we've all been here for a reason, what are we going to do with the reason right now? How can we, as people, collectively, be the most powerful instruments here? And it's all online, because that's the whole world runs online. Everything's online now.
Yeah.
And we have this medium here, and this is why the Watchtower, their bricks are getting knocked out there, where everything's exposed. Ray Fran started, Penton here in Alberta wrote a book.
Yes.
And we have Barbara Anderson. We have a lot of good people online educating us. So now we see a little bit of bickering. Did you want to talk about that? Because there is always bickering with people, online bickering. We have this community, and we see this side, that side, that side,
well,
maybe three sides. I don't know. And we read it in the comments. And I know when I came in, I even had people email me, and kind of, because we don't know when we come in, we don't know who's who. We're just trying to learn. We're actually trying to learn a new truth. We're trying to learn the truth.
Well,
is what I thought. Go ahead. I'm going to let you guys talk.
As far as the bickering goes, I don't see any problem with that. I don't take the attitude that there has to be unity. That's a Watchtower propaganda, mind control thing, that we all are supposed to be unified. That's communism, as far as I can see too, and that's their tactics. Any group of people is made up of very different people, and if they're not allowed to express their differences, then someone's going to be shortchanged. Someone's going to be hurt, and others are going to take over, and they're going to be lost, and they're going to look for another group. There has to be the ability for free communication among each other, and there has to be the willingness to accept different points of view. And if there isn't, it's a cult. And this is exactly what the witnesses have been brought up in. We didn't grow up in that kind of situation. We took it on, we got into it when we were 33 and beyond. So that always bothered me, the fact that it was so lockstepped. At that early on, I realized there's something very wrong with what's going on.
Now, did you realize that after you're baptized? Like how long after you're baptized?
It didn't take too long.
Didn't take long?
Because you start learning things. First you get love bombed, and they tell you all the lies. And then after that, they start to turn the screws down and try to get you to put 2 feet in one shoe, so to speak.
But you stayed in for a lot of years.
Isn't that true?
And I did too. I think a lot of us have the same kind of stories.
I think, and I'm not going to blame my children for that, but the reason for being in was family and the children. And so by the time they got involved, their lives were intertwined with other people's lives. We weren't free individuals to just say, you know, let's get out of here. Let's blow this place. This is bad.
Yeah,
No.
they all pioneered. They
Yeah.
all learned a language.
Mhm.
They got married and married. Their mates were all pioneers. So
Mhm.
you know, you have weddings and you have
Yeah.
one of our daughters went to SKE school, so you have graduation and you get involved in
Yeah.
this life, and also the quick builds. We were very
Mhm.
into the quick builds. We were
We were too,
always
yeah.
doing that. So
I
it kind of engulfs your whole life.
I was PMO. I was PMO without knowing I was PMO
Mhm.
for the longest time.
Yeah.
I was merely tolerating things that I just didn't approve of. I was a ministerial servant for a short while, but that didn't last too long, and I'm glad, because I had absolutely no interest in
Mhm.
becoming part of their organization.
Mhm.
You know, they spoke of the elders as being loving shepherds, and honestly, I did not see that one bit.
No, I agree.
Not one
I
bit.
I was told to actually try to associate with elders and pioneers and all that.
Right.
And the closer I got to the elders, the more
Yeah.
problems there seemed to be.
Yeah, yeah. Now individually, you know, there were some decent guys there, but as elders, there was absolutely no way of getting along with them as a human being.
No.
There just wasn't,
No.
and I just wasn't part. I wasn't ready to.
Did your kids, your children grew up obviously in
Yeah.
it, and did they become elders and stuff like that,
3
Mhm.
elders.
and pioneers, and
Oh,
Yeah.
so they
yeah,
become
yeah.
heavily indoctrinated, just
Uh-huh.
like everyone else.
Heavily, and I have to. I to this day, I regret the weakness that I carried, and that is that early on, the fear that they instilled in me for my family, I transmitted that onto them. Concern for them, the fear that they that the society basically brainwashed me into with
Yeah,
their ideas for Armageddon and
the
Great
Armageddon
Tribulation
thing.
and all that other it. And I
Yeah.
truly that truly was. They say experience is something that you get right after you needed it the most.
Mhm.
And I wish I had the experience now with that.
So we take the Bible Stories book, we're moving forward, and we have a lot of good creators online, and we're looking for ideas. And I think you, Joe and Fran, you guys have a lot of ideas. You guys are school teachers, people educators, supporters. You naturally have those abilities. You naturally seen issues. Like a lot of us, like me, I got into this cult and I was in it and I fought it. But then my kids started growing in it and they have friends. And probably now everyone's shunned. Do you see your grandchildren or any of those?
We have no grandchildren, but
No grandchildren.
no. Of course, they didn't have children. They didn't have children because you're
They
not
listen to the org.
Of course, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And we
Yeah.
haven't heard from any of our family for more than a year.
Yeah, a year.
Yeah,
About the same boat that I'm in.
yeah.
So, yeah, I think it was a couple of before I became online. Once you go online, they really
Mhm.
don't want anything.
I tell you what
well,
happened
okay,
instantly.
sorry, go ahead, Joe.
What initially happened, which showed the character of the people, the same individual that brought us in. He was um, I'll call him a superfine elder.
Mhm.
He was like a transplant from another area. And honestly, at this point, I'm starting to wonder his true character, considering he was a transplant. And I'm not going to go say much further than
Mhm.
that. But
Mhm.
he was the one that, when after the first meeting, he asked me, "So, what do you think about it?" And I said, "Well, it seems pretty interesting. Seems it could be valuable for the family." And then I said, "But," and he said, "Well, do you plan on attending more?" And I said, "Well, actually, we've been planning and thinking about moving, about changing our location." Um, and so he looks at me, and I can't tell you how. It was one of those looks where they really don't care what you said. They're just going to come back. And he said, "Well, did you ever consider changing your attitude?"
Really?
And I can't tell you the feelings that went through my mind at that point. But had I carried out what I wanted to, I probably would have been put in jail. And honestly, if that happened, it would have simplified my life greatly.
Mhm.
It really would have. But at any rate, he was the same elder that after we told him about our concerns about child sexual abuse
Mhm.
and gave us the whole corporate line,
Mhm.
he's the same one that went behind our backs and warned all our children against us
Really.
and basically started the shunning right there. That started the shunning.
Hmm.
That's the kind of people there. That's the organization that we're dealing with.
You know, they're all like that. I think we've heard so many stories online, and my wife told me your story doesn't mean anything. You know, these other stories are just like, but we've all went through the shunning. Well, she doesn't tell me that my story doesn't mean anything. I should said that wrong. But my
I believe
story's
it.
not that big. Like, I left and I'm shunned, and
Okay.
here she is.
Yeah, I never said that. I just
We'll
said
give
it gives you perspective to hear others'
Yeah.
stories, because you
Yeah.
might feel like you have it bad, but oh my, there's some
Yeah.
truly horrible things that have happened out there.
This is a crazy organization. The more I'm out, the more I'm thinking, holy crap.
Yeah.
And we have to listen. And there's all these people that just need listened to. They
Mhm.
just need to be heard.
Well,
Yeah.
every time my feelings start to ease a little bit, the resentment and the anger and
Mhm.
all that starts to ease, one more little piece of information and one more account of a person
Yeah.
just raises that back up to
Yeah.
higher than it was
Mhm.
previously. There's no way that you can underestimate the abomination that organization is and what it's done to people. There's no
Mhm.
way. There's no way you can underestimate it.
You know, this all, I sit back and I look at this whole thing that's happening. Reminds me of the Ecclesiastes. There's a time for everything. There's a time for getting out of this religion. Now's the time to get out. And all of these elders that are out there, boy, oh boy, I'd hate to be an elder and be privy to any CSA cases,
And that's
because
what I would
that
think
could
about
cause
for our
jail
family.
time.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and that's
It's all
exactly
going to come out.
yeah.
Mhm.
I think of that with our our two
Yep.
boys and
Our son-in-laws.
son-in-laws.
Mhm.
There's three elders. They better make the right decision.
See, we're on the community ICS, the governments are doing all this. But the community is good because now people are getting braver, phoning the police saying, I have a report. And there's all these reports. There's lots of people that have left that have done nothing with the reports. But the more people start reporting what has happened, the police get the databases. The police keep track of all this. And then it's kind of out of our hands. That's one step. So if we've been abused, we get the report out. You get it to the right authorities to start playing with this in our imagination too much. My wife and I were talking about imagination. We can actually get ourselves into trouble imagining
Oh yeah.
too much. Imagining even the JWs. This is the problem with their doctrinal stuff: is we imagine Armageddon. We imagine our families dying, getting burned by Jesus Christ. We imagine stuff like that. It's not the right stuff to imagine. So we have to replace what we're thinking about with other stuff.
Absolutely.
And that's kind of, I think, the next step here is what can we do to help people, all these people
Yes.
coming out? What can we do as a community?
Excellent point, Vern, which brings me to Joe and Fran. You guys have some plans or wishes, a desire to create, or bring this community to the next step in the future. I'm going to disappear, and maybe you could tell us about
No,
what
we
you
want you to stay.
Well, I'm going to disappear for a bit. I got to step away.
Okay.
I'll be back when you get out of line again, okay?
Thank you, Shauna.
Thank you.
Our whole goal when we came out was to help others that are coming out, because we realized that there was such a need. There were so many stories of heartache, and we were older and 70, 71, and we don't have our children, but there were young ones that didn't have parents, they didn't have brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles. Joe and I are the only ones in our whole family, our fleshly brothers and sisters. They were not Jehovah's Witnesses, so we have them for support.
We have very good family support.
We have a very good family support. We have friends.
Yeah.
So our hearts went out to those that did not have that.
Yeah,
So
and it's a truly terrible situation that so many of them have. So our goal was
So you
to
have
be-
outside friends outside the org family?
Oh, yes.
absolutely,
Oh, yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Plus
So
our
that's
family.
good.
yes,
Absolutely.
That's great.
Again, we came in when we were 33,
Yeah.
and so we were in the quote world,
Mhm.
the real world. So at that point, we realized the only way we could justify having wasted 36 years in that organization is to spend the rest of our lives helping reconnect people who were hurt by it and who were being damaged and hurt by it.
Mhm.
And so far from the beginning, we just started basically collecting information, names of friends, and connecting them with each other by the phone or whatever. And that's resulted in some very good relationships.
Mhm.
It's if the organization split people up, then this was helping draw them together, and that means something to us.
So
And now
that's getting people together like in little groups perhaps, or just online?
every other week we do meetups as we can with the locals here.
Yeah, so
There's
that's
only about
physical.
8 to 12 maybe people,
Yes.
and more.
You
when we
actually
find
physically
more.
go for coffee or something?
No,
We
they
have them
come
over
here.
here.
We have a
Oh,
meal.
nice.
Yeah.
We have a meal. Everybody brings something, and it's been growing.
Yeah.
Not everybody can come every other week,
No.
but
Mhm.
this coming Thursday we're having someone travel almost 2 hours away, and she's going to spend the 2 nights with a sister nearby. So we're connecting people because she didn't have
Mhm.
anybody in her area.
Yeah.
She really wanted to come to a meetup, so we worked it out. So the meetups are great,
Yeah.
and we also when we were on our trip, we organized it. So we had a meetup in California, we had a little
Mhm.
meetup in Alabama, and we arranged it so that in all the states that we went to, we tried to meet up with an ExJw, at least 1 or 2. So that was nice.
Yeah. That was very
Hmm.
helpful.
And we
So
want to.
is there a lot of meetup groups do you know of like yours?
There are
Well, there are a
there
lot
are.
of meetups, but we don't connect with all of them, obviously, because they're out of the area.
There's one online that it's on right now, and it's in our the vicinity of 2 hours.
And it's a Zoom. It's a Zoom meetup.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
we really appreciate the physical ones
The
because
physical, that's
when we
important.
were in Texas, we met up. This is a good story. We met up and we met this man previous at another meetup.
One
we
of
had
the
gone
things
to.
we went to, part of the trip was going to a conference, basically a meetup for chronology. A chronology. Chronologist.
Had nothing to do
In
with
other words,
Jehovah's
it's like a
Witnesses.
history.
Oh, okay.
It's
Okay.
like a history channel that we follow for deep, old history. At any
Can
rate,
I interrupt you just for a second?
Yeah.
So were you guys like teachers all the way through while you were Jehovah's
No.
Witnesses?
No.
No.
You
we
quit
did not.
teaching after a while?
Yes, right from the very beginning, right after we were married. I taught very shortly, but we realized at that point, from everything that I was learning from the people, the older ones in school, college, wherever, or even industry that I was in for a short while, that the fathers regretted that they didn't spend more time with their children.
Yes.
And at that point, I realized I don't want to duplicate that. So we decided basically to develop home business and
Mhm.
develop and care for our family at home. So we're thankful we did that. Fran stopped teaching
Mhm.
and just started teaching at home.
Mhm.
So we
Oh, cool.
homeschooled the kids and everything.
Mhm.
But at any rate, we at this meetup for the chronologist, the meetup, we met a well, we let people know that we were ex-witnesses. And we found someone who was an ex-witness, but he had been out for
40 years.
40 years.
40
Really?
years.
40 years.
Yeah, because he got out when he was like 20 and he's in his 60s.
Yeah.
And so we were talking to
Yeah.
him and we said on the following day we were going to have a small group of
Right.
ExJWs. And he said, well, I don't know. I'll see. And he was really hesitant.
Basically didn't want any more drama in his life that
Yeah.
he'd had previously.
He didn't want to get triggered.
Right.
But anyway, he did
Yeah.
show up.
He showed up.
We had it at a restaurant and he did show up and we were so happy to see him. And he had such a good time.
Yeah, he was glad.
Because we did not, what's the word? We did not put down the witnesses.
No, I told him it wasn't a bash session.
It was not a
I
bash
said
session.
we're moving forward. I said
Right.
we're
And we talked all about all kinds of topics and it was really interesting. We had about 5 people there. And so he said he was really glad he came. He said, I was really hesitant to come. I wasn't sure if I was going to come or not, but I'm glad I did. This was really good for me.
Yeah.
And he had a whole new perspective on it. So, and he said it kind of filled a void that he had for 40 years.
because there are so many unanswered questions and
Yeah.
about what his feelings on things and how other people and everything. I mean, we need that. We need to connect with others who've gone
Yes,
through the
we do.
same
Yeah.
trauma, just so that we can go to the next step. And so
So what I was going to ask you guys, okay, so the connecting, the meetups, that's good. What about for all of the CSA victims, troubled people coming out, depressed, suicidal, whatever? And we're talking about that familia side. Familia, the reason this is a concern for researchers is because the doctrines of the religion say that, you remember when we were in the religion, we'd say, well, at least that person died before Armageddon. Let's say someone leaves, we call it the truth, right?
Yeah.
Oh, they left the truth, and then they die or something. Well, at least they died before Armageddon. Now they at least have a chance of a resurrection. If Armageddon, if you leave the truth and Armageddon comes, you are dead. You are dead. So if your family members, let's say, aren't doing so good or they're leaving, well, you're better off. They have a better chance at familia side. They have a better chance of making it into the new system. And that's the doctrine of the religion. And that's what's being studied all over the world. This religion is being looked at closely because of the shootings in Germany, because of Norway. Norway is one of the first ones in the world. Yeah. Shutting this religion down. It's just a matter of time, guys. You guys are here at the right time because there's all these people, including your kids, that are the lights are gonna turn out one day, turn off. At these kingdom halls. They have to sell them to pay out. And I'm getting to the next thing that's going on in my mind is someone's got to pay for all of the mental health work. Someone's got to pay for this. The religions are being held accountable. In Australia, that's part of the admission and the apologies is that the religions have to start owning up, and the world's pushing for this. The religion, all of these religions. So the Jehovah's Witnesses are being looked at the hardest, and there's a lot to self-fulfilling prophecies. They believe that Armageddon's coming and taking everyone else out, while Armageddon is coming for them. I'm sorry. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. When you imagine those things and put out that kind of energy, worldwide, it's coming back at you. And it is now, the world's come back and said, no more hiding pedophilia, no more of this shunning nonsense, no more abusing kids. We're done with this nonsense, and we are done with all these religions getting rich, and we have to pay these religions to be in place as counselors. They don't help the poor. They don't do humanitarian things. They're greedy. They all are greedy. So if we want to help people, let's go to the food banks. Let's line up there and help hand out food, cans of food. We can help people. That these religions all are coming to an end. I believe the Jehovah's Witnesses is the first one. You guys may witness it, and we may be part of setting up a whole help group. But I think the religions have to pay for it. So the first thing we all have to imagine is that there's no purse. No one's paying for this but the religions. There's going to be a Okay, a facility, a healing facility that's run by professional people. I'm not a professional. I don't know how to deal with CSA victims. And I'm not going to, because I'm not a professional. All of these victims need help. The deprogramming of the cult. This is the biggest cult, the worst cult in my mind on this planet, the biggest. And it's the most slickest and silkiest because Rutherford is a litigator. And this cult is built upon bound volumes of litigation. This is not based on the Bible, one book. This is based on bound volumes of litigation that Rutherford designed, and it carried on, and it has even gotten worse into our age.
Well, the nicest thing is they left a paper trail.
Yes, they did.
They left a wonderful paper trail, and there's so many friends are keeping track of everything because they still have the literature, and they can't wipe out the books that people possess. They may be able to change their day-to-day information on the website, but they can't change the books that they've written.
Now, I want to get back to your story. I don't want to get you guys off cue. I want you to tell your whole story. Now, you're going through life. Joe realizes, probably Fran, that this is you're kind of almost PMO. I was like that, fighting. Like, I realize it now. I didn't realize it then. I was just in it. My kids are in it. Ex was in it. Whatever. I'm in this. And finally, I got so pissed off, I left. I left. I'm not going back. These are men. And I didn't realize it was that damn elders book that was directing these guys. This is now directs us back to the governing body. There's your paper trail. The governing body is guilty. Now, all of us on this side of the fence believe they should go behind bars. That's what I think. They're running a mafia ring that hides pedophilia all over the earth. It's a mafia ring. Like, isn't that what that is?
Oh,
it's not good. It's not a religion.
It's totally criminal.
It's the worst religion there is. And it's fake because everyone's with fake smiles. And I've been door to door pioneering too, and it's all fake. It's all fake because you get in the car and then you start judging the people. Well, they're goats. Those people, I've called on them 10 times. Those people are not gonna ever listen. The Armageddon comes, they're gone. Who gives a JW that right?
I know. I have to insert this. I don't think I was PMO. I think Joe was. I was into it. I was pioneering right up until the day Joe told me that he had watched a video, and I said, "No, I don't want to see it. I don't want to know anything about it." Put the hand up, and he said, "Well, if you don't, it's not going to go well for us." And again, back to the beginning when we didn't have a good marriage, I said, "Oh boy." I said, "No, I don't want that. So, okay, let me see what you've looked at," because like I said, I was out in service that day. I was auxiliary pioneering regularly. And I came home and he said, "I got to show you something." And I said, "I don't want to see it." But so Joe was PMO for a long time and did not like the elders. He did not like the broadcast.
I had been vocally critical about the elders. My family didn't like the children. The young ones didn't like that. Oh, they
did not like
so
it.
They did not like that at all. I said, "Well, I didn't like the elders and what they were doing, the way they were doing it." So early on, I mean, I was.
But that one thing you said about bad mouthing, Joe and I did not like it when the Friends would bad mouth Catholics.
Oh, it's terrible.
And they would, we were doing phone witnessing during the pandemic, and they would get off the phone and they would say, "Oh, well, that was a Catholic. Well, what do you expect?"
It was
and finally,
horrible.
we voiced it. We said, "Wait a minute, you're judging these people. That's not right." And we didn't go along with that.
No,
we did not like it when they judged people.
No, it just was wrong.
Yeah, someone said that in the comments. I can't find it, but someone said that same thing. How long has Jehovah's Witnesses been going around bad mouthing every form, especially the Catholics? Rutherford hated the Catholics. Catholics put him in prison. He designed a religion to build hatred toward Catholics. That's the first thing you learn. It's a religion of hate.
Vern, there was a little known book that he wrote, that Rutherford wrote. It's called Enemies. His enemies.
Yep.
When he came out, And his goal at that point, his murderous goal was to
He was a
do-
very destructive
was
man.
to do in any of his enemies, and all the policies that he wrote and pushed for after that basically were to just to show how hateful he was to anyone that went against him.
Russell was very hateful at Maria's his wife that he divorced.
Terrible.
And she did a lot of writings. She was a very smart lady. She was a teacher. She was a school teacher. And she developed, I think through the anxiety she was dealing with Russell, but she said to Russell one day, I think you're the faithful and discreet slave. She's the one that suggested it. So she imagined that he's the faithful and discreet slave. They're reading it. And then Russell, after a while, he says, "Yeah, I think I am." And then he started to publicize. And then, but he actually didn't call himself that. So Marie brought it up, and of course they're in their circle of friends, right? So then everyone agreed with Marie that he was a faithful and discreet slave. So then everyone started calling him the slave, and then he stood up and says, "Yeah, I am." So then when he started to have that affair with that woman, I forget her name, but she was working at the Bethel. And he had another affair. He had a woman off a ship because they traveled on ships, and that's how they did it back then. And for weeks on these ships, right? And they had a textile business at one time, so he knew the world, Russell. And he was on the ship, and there was a woman who was prostrating herself at the Bethel, at the every day in the porch, and then she prostrated herself at the seaport when he came in. And then they found out that him and Russell did a trip once, and they figured that they had an affair. And then he kept demonizing her. And then he did the same to his wife, Maria, demonized her. And here he was going to work at the Bethel, and he'd say, well, I got to walk this girl home. I forget her name, Annabelle or something, one of the workers at Bethel. But Russell spent the last part of his life fighting his wife in court. And Rutherford paid it out. It's a colored past. Both those guys, the women have left them because of their narcissism. They're very narcissistic, both men.
They're horrible.
When you read through the history on them. So as much as the Watchtower wants to make them look good, the history really shows they look bad. And
that's all it's going to
sometimes we have fun as creators, I guess, with that stuff. But I guess tonight we're talking about you guys, and we're talking about what we're going to do next in the community. What are you guys planning on doing next? What's your goals?
Well, first off, just to recap what we've been doing right from the very beginning, we came out with a postcard.
Mm-hmm.
And the postcard, we send it out to different ones in the community. And
Could you just hold that to the screen a bit? We could see it. I'm going to read it. You hold it up there and I'll read it.
Well,
it says right there.
Why don't I read it? Can I read it?
Sure, go ahead, read it to us.
Okay. To our friends and neighbors, why are massive numbers of Jehovah's Witnesses leaving the Watchtower religion? And then in bold, child sexual abuse court cases, Jehovah's Witnesses sentenced, ongoing investigations and congregations subpoenaed. And then the next line, bold, shunning practiced by members destroys families and individuals, proven to be damaging. Next, high rates of depression and suicides among members and families. And then the last, as ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, we offer information and needed support. We respect your privacy. Please contact us, our name, and then our email. And we leave this with every customer that comes into the shop and explain what's going on. Plus, we're sending it out to schools.
I've been sending it to principals, teachers, counselors, and we give them to the friends. If anybody anywhere they want these cards, we're glad to give them out. And it'll have our name on it, so they're not going to get in trouble.
Do you have a PDF of that? We could host that on the website as well, so people could download it and print it out.
A PDF.
Could you send us a Word copy, an electronic copy on email? Sending us your picture?
Can we send you a picture of it on the phone?
No. Can you email us a copy of it?
Yeah, we can.
Yes, Vern. If Joe, please send a picture and we'll take care of it on this end. Okay.
Thank you.
We'll email it.
Thank you, Sean.
Yeah, just take a picture of it.
The simplest of things cause the greatest of problems for us, technically. So I appreciate that.
Now, what I wanted to talk about a little bit today is imagination. We ready for that, or do you have some more story to talk
can
about?
we at least give just a second for the next thing we're working on? The principle is a friend in need is a friend indeed. And there are so many friends who have so many needs, and there's so many friends that might have the ability to support or help them in that need. And what we've been doing since we've been out, we have a list of over, I don't know, maybe 200 friends.
Yeah.
That we connect with each other, and even through conversations and whatever arrangements that they make, they.
If I could give some examples. Yeah. Okay. So we connect individuals. Someone in California, they're single, a male, young, maybe in their 40s. And we connected them with someone in Washington State. They talked for 3 hours on the phone. They had so much in common.
And this is common. Okay. This is happening over and over.
And then we have a specific case. We just found out about this.
Yeah.
This person is not a Jehovah's Witness, but we went over to my brother's for dinner the other night, and she was visiting from Florida. Her husband is an invalid now. And we got talking about how we were Jehovah's Witnesses. And she said, I know, your brother told me. She says, I have 2 beautiful women that are coming to my house. And because I'm alone all the time, I appreciate their company. And we said, oh, be careful, because that's what they prey on. They prey on people that are lonely, that, are looking for company. And that's what was happening. So to make a long story short, if anyone is in the Englewood, Florida area, they live right next to the Kingdom Hall, by the way.
Yeah.
I would love for them to talk to, someone who's willing to be a friend in Englewood, Florida. She's a very lovely person, and she's taking care of her husband. Yeah. Basically, she has to do everything for him.
And she's capable of doing that at this point too. But my God, I'd rather have her connect with other people rather than the witnesses. And we told her that too.
Yeah.
So
that's just one example.
Yeah.
Now, do you guys have a method of working with someone to put all of that on a website and get people connecting through the website all over as you build your database?
No.
Do you think that could be something that we could all work on?
Yes, because we're very old-fashioned. We have what's called a written contact book, and we connect people by state or by name or by so that would be something that we could use help with. Yeah, because we're not.
Yeah, we're not about to do a website.
So we could ask the audience out there, is there anybody, other creators that are good at this kind of stuff?
If I could interrupt for a second here, excuse me, a little surprise for Joe and Fran, as they've mentioned this, last week to me. Thank you. What I was thinking, a really quick, easy, cheap way of doing it was hosting Joe and Fran's page just on our website for the moment. And then we can work on building up a database and potentially a map system is what I'm looking into to help you guys out. So just a way, someplace you could push some people. If there's automatic connections that can be made, we'll build it towards that. So.
Okay, we have no website.
My good wife knows.
I know.
Okay.
Yeah, we do have a website, and like you said, Joe, some things just cause the greatest struggle. So how about you let me fight with the webpage?
Hey, hon, can you talk to Joe and Fran for a bit? I just need to step out.
Yep,
and
no trouble.
just talk to them about.
Goodbye.
We came up with Shauna. We came up with categories. So one of the categories is to connect individuals, like with the woman that we were just talking about. There's an ex-Jehovah's Witness. His name is Stefan, and he would love to meet up with someone in the North Indiana, Chicago area, and he hasn't been able to find anyone. So there's another specific.
Yeah.
Another category are physical meetups. There are people that wish that they could have meetups. They don't know people. They're afraid to ask. They're afraid to put their name out there. We found someone just today in Binghamton, New York. If there's anyone out there in Binghamton, New York, they would love to form a meetup. And a meetup could just be simply going for coffee somewhere. You don't have to have a big dinner or anything like that. It's just where individuals, 1, 2, 3 people, well, not one, but 2, 3, or 4 people meet up in person somewhere, coffee at the park, whatever,
Yeah.
just for some association. There's someone in Maryland that's looking to start a meetup, if there's anyone in the Maryland. So that's another category. There's those that need emotional support. Like we mentioned in our picture with JP, he's going through a difficult time now. Winston has cancer, and he just needs that emotional support. It's really breaking him up because he's had Winston with him for a long time.
Mm.
And then there's physical
Physical
support.
needs. There's ones who maybe right now in your area that are homeless, and there are others that basically have the means to help that, and the only way is if you can connect with each other. And so this is a situation where each person has to figure out what needs they have, and then on the other hand, what abilities and what deeds they have at their access so that they can help others. These are friends. These are the actions and activities of friends. And that's all that we'd like to see happen. We'd like to help facilitate friends be friends with each other.
Yeah, we really got the idea. I mean, we have been doing this, but after we watched MJ last week and how he had been homeless, living in his car, we heard of another homeless person in southern Massachusetts that is really struggling right now. Needs work, needs a place to live, willing to work, putting out resumes like crazy. So things like that, we have specific needs, and there might be someone out there.
Yeah. And just the biggest thing is just being aware,
Mm-hmm.
being aware of it so that each can make their own decisions as to what they want to do. And honestly, we have the idea of coming up with a directory. I mean, we ourselves have basically a directory of almost 200 people.
Almost 200 people.
Well, if others were interested and wanted to be on a directory or have the directory, that's an idea that we have. Now, obviously, there's privacy issues too.
And we would filter it because
Yeah.
we're not going to go put
No.
everybody's
No.
name out there.
No.
It has to be very confidential.
We're like go-betweens. We're more than happy to facilitate situations for the betterment for each other, to link up people who would be right for each other.
For sure.
Now,
And we are more than willing to help you get the word out. So you let us know what you need, and we're there.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
we can
I
advertise.
appreciate that.
Thank you.
What so if we could get a group, some website together where information is shared, that could be one thing. What else can we do to help the community? Do you have any ideas?
I think it's
No.
I think it's so good if people are aware of what individually they can do right in their community. I mean, we know what we're striving to do in our community. The other thing we do too, we gone out just one day so far, 2 days.
2 days,
2 days. We go where the
3 days. We went to Remsen.
Okay, that's right. Where the witnesses are set up, we go where they're set up, and we talk to people around there, and just hand out our card and talk to them and tell them we unwitness basically to them. And I've never been. If I never liked it doing with the witnesses, I love doing it now. In this, and people are very well received of it. They are grateful. They are so grateful to know this, because most people are clueless about the witnesses. It's troubling how clueless they are.
So do you think a person would get a placement at every door?
Perfect. Perfect.
So we could place a do not sticker and one of those cards at every door. Yeah, there you go. Do not. Yeah, perfect. Love it.
And that was
Love it.
that's what you came up with.
Excellent.
And,
Yeah.
And so we're,
Get 1,000 of them and we all go back out in service. You know, people can make a decision at the door. And I had one Jehovah's Witness came online and said, you know what? You're going to make our job so much easier if you get those do not call stickers on people's doors.
Yep. We also have these.
That's a good one. That pin. I like that pin,
We
Fran.
wear these all over, and people see them. They don't always ask what they are, but we'll always tell people, like Joe said, we have a
That's
business
a good
here.
idea.
So we have
Excellent.
our post, and we're willing to, send these to friends. Excuse me, just give us your address, and we'll be willing to send them to you. We've been sending some out.
You know, if you're walking out down in the mall or wherever you're going grocery shopping and someone sees that, you're an ExJw. I used to be one of those. Hi, how you doing? That's kind of how it is. It's kind of a little club.
That hasn't happened yet, Vern, but I expect it will sometime.
Oh, yeah. It's coming.
We
Now, when I think about helping the community, I think we need to take it a step farther. And I think we need to make the religions open their purse books so we don't have to pay. And I think there has to be some kind of a special place that victims can go to and ex-Jehovah's Witnesses can go to that are dealing with depression, suicidal issues. And I think the religions have to be made to pay for this stuff. And they could be flown in, but professionally run. And I'm just imagining, right? And everything that we manifest starts with imagination, right?
That's right.
Well,
So we can imagine, there's some big lawsuits, so $23-40 million. So a couple million get thrown here. The government starts throwing this to help people, because if these people are put back into society and they're committing suicide and they're all confused, the governments want to help the people and they're going to make the religions pay. That's where I see this. That's what I see happening today.
Politicians.
What do you guys see?
Politicians take notice of this when they know you're a voter.
Yeah.
And if it's not political, it won't work. That's all there is to it. That's all there is to it. There has to be lawyers and people in higher positions that are willing to do something about that. That hasn't happened yet.
No. And I think part of. Go ahead, Joe. Go ahead.
And I don't know of any lobbyists. All I know is that while the Watchtower was busy with their involvement with the UN, all the witness friends were busy being proud about how non-political they were. Well, that was exactly the wrong thing to do. You need to be political. There's no way it's going to work otherwise. There isn't, and that's the real world. That's the we've had interactions with a few assemblymen, and they want to, they have all sorts of things on their plate to take care of, and this could be one of them. But frankly, they're going to aim for the biggest votes. That's what they're going to aim for.
I read a report where the U.S. government is spending $458 billion a year on child abuse, and they've done the study based on what that child loses, what the government has to put into rehabilitation.
Yep.
This is a big study. So the government knows the studies are already there. $458 billion a year. That's a lot of money.
Yep.
So where's this child abuse coming from? Well, the religions are doing a lot of it.
Well, if we can
hiding it.
If we can get a little controversial here, it's not only the religions.
It's Boy Scouts. It's all over.
We know
that.
It's in the
legal.
Everywhere. It's in the legal system as well. And there's going to have to be some serious situations happening to make to loosen things up.
Yeah.
There's going to be some really interesting things happening.
The last place we expected those in religion. Like
Right.
in Jehovah's
Sure.
Witnesses, that's the last
course.
place I expected this.
It's the
I
perfect.
know.
That's why it's a perfect place to hide it.
But
That's
it
why
hides it.
That's why making public awareness. The other
Yeah.
thing that we did do was go on the local radio station back in March. And we just laid it all out, gave him our name.
Wow.
And he knew us. So just recently, Jimmy Bell went on because
Same station.
same station
Mhm.
because
Is this like a
now
U.S. station all over? A
No,
big station?
no, but no, it's
No.
it's local.
it's
But
local, but
on YouTube, you just put in WIBX,
Mhm.
you'll get it. You
See-
can see the whole
yeah.
thing.
See what had happened. I don't know if the witnesses went to WIBX or the WIBX was reaching out
Yeah,
because
I'm not sure.
of the PR with the cart witnessing.
Yeah,
So
Oh,
the same one that interviewed us,
Yeah.
his name is Bill,
Bill
he
Keeler.
interviewed an elder and he
Mhm.
said, well, we've got some allegations. He says, no, we can't go into that. I've got a script. I'm going to stick to my script.
It was a
all
terrible interview.
all he
the
talked about-
JW did that?
It was terrible.
Yes. All he talked about was the cart witnessing, going back to meetings in person and their conventions. And
I
the
think we seen that
positive-
video. That was that radio station and that
Yes.
elder that came in
Yes.
and he
Yes,
couldn't say nothing.
nothing.
Nothing that was,
Yes, that's the same radio station we were on. It's only 10 miles from here.
really?
We knew
Okay.
that, and we knew that elder. Joe worked with that elder on the sound at one of the conventions. We got a picture
Wow.
of Joe and the elder. 'cause
Small
he's
world.
young. Yeah, he's young. He's like, he could be our son, basically.
Uh-huh.
So
Go
anyway,
ahead, Shauna.
Nope, I'm just laughing along.
Oh, you're just on.
And if I can step out on a limb and do something that's a little bit of a risk,
send it.
there's yeah, go ahead. There's a local elder that we grew up with that I'd like to mention his name to see if there's anyone else out there that knew him as well to connect with
Mhm.
us. I really would be interested in doing it. His
Yeah,
name
go
is,
ahead.
His name is Houghton, Dan Houghton. They originally were from Michigan, but he was in the Utica area.
He was
Oneida,
special
New York.
pioneers,
Special
him and his
pioneer.
wife, special pioneers.
Super duper.
He went on
super
to
fine,
be a CO.
whatever.
He went on to be a CO,
Yeah,
and he's the one that called our kids
yeah.
and told them your parents are into some very
Yeah.
dangerous things.
The
And that was
interesting
it.
thing
Cut
about
us
this,
off.
the interesting thing about this whole situation, his father was around when Ray Franz was
Mhm.
coming to understand what was going on. And his father apostated. He left the organization.
Mhm.
And frankly, at that point, Dan began hating his father for doing that, and anyone and everyone else who was like-minded. And so it's that kind of contempt that's floating around in that organization. There is no love in that organization.
No.
It's idol worship. They worship their
Yes.
corporation.
Yep.
They worship
Yep.
their corporation, and there is no love.
Reminds me of the Bible stories that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego standing in front of the king of Babylon, and they
Yeah.
wouldn't bow down to worship him. And that's exactly, folks, I think what we're dealing with. I think that's what we're dealing with here today. And I don't think it, I know it. These
It's total
men
idol worship.
want idol worship.
Yeah.
There's no question. And if you don't worship them, you're thrown into the fiery furnace.
Yeah, and I might
And it's that simple.
I might throw something out there too, and I'm not going to go too far with it. But if anyone wants to have a discussion with it, I will somewhere else. But
Mhm.
there's tremendous confusion about who's who in that organization, and I don't mean the governing body. I mean who they worship, as far as God, Creator,
Mhm.
whatever. There's tremendous amount of deception about who's who and who should be worshipped and who shouldn't. And I don't mean Jesus Christ either. There are many people that have a very they feel a clear understanding of who God is, but they may be very mistaken. And I'm just going to leave it at that. So this is where research is so important.
Who the governing body worships, who they
Yeah,
worship.
and not only who they worship, but who even the God of the Bible is.
Yeah, yeah, that's a whole nother story, isn't it? It's an interesting study when we look at Jehovah.
Yeah.
Jehovah, I don't pray to Jehovah and I don't worship Jehovah.
No.
Now, Jesus never used Jehovah's name or Yahweh's name.
No.
And the God of the Israelites, excuse me, I don't want to go too far into it, but I watch some of these guys like Paul Wallace. That guy is a scholar. There's a lot of them out there. They look at the Gnostic Jesus, and they're looking at this in a way bigger picture. And I think we're gonna, as a human race, we're gonna learn a lot more that the Bible is not it. There's just so much that's hidden.
There is absolutely no excuse for any confusion at this point. There is so much good information out there by so many that are corroborating the same thing. And most witnesses, as we hear ex-witnesses, even when we hear what their beliefs still are, need to do more research. They truly need to do more.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're still living in deception. And the research is
So
out there.
we're about halftime here, so I want to do a commercial. Okay, now we talked about imagination, we talked about manifestation. And I'm just going to read this to you guys here, to the audience. Manifestation is the art of transforming imagination into reality. That's what manifestation is. So we first have to have imagination in order to manifest something new. So what we're trying to do is manifest something new within the ExJw community. So by visualizing, writing down your goals, taking action, having the courage to believe in your dreams, you open yourself to infinite possibilities from the universe. And when we say the universe, it could be God, it could be other people online that see this video, that are inspired, and they say, hey, I want to help. You see, but we throw out the imagination. So the first thing when I imagine, I got my window open and I think the horses are out there. They've been looking in my window.
Nice.
They're kind of funny. But anyways, no, it's the goats. They're out there too. But we'll eventually get them all in the studio. Probably not the horse. It's not enough room.
Good.
We'll have to take you outside for that one.
But
But I want to talk about imagination. And now there's a lot of us creators online. And I was going through my thumbnails, my subscription list. There's a lot. So we did stay online. We did a video right at the end, just for all the creators online, a tribute. But right now, I want to talk about manifesting. And when I started in this community, I was just trying to fix my faith. I was trying to figure out how I've been lied to. And I kind of figured that out fairly quickly. And then I carried on to want to help out. And so we do the news and whatever we do on the channel. Now, part of being a creator is our imagination can sometimes go wild. And we start imagining. So we have to focus it in and we have to say, okay, what are we trying to accomplish? Let's imagine that. And I know for me, and I think for a lot of you out there, we want to see the governing body put behind bars because this is wrong. This is so wrong and they're hiding it and they know they're hiding it. They're just in too deep. And I think it's on the way. And I go back and I justify my vision. It's a vision. We build a vision board is what we do. And I build my vision board and I start with Jesus. And if Jesus is up there looking down on all of this mess, what is he thinking? What is he going to do? And then I throw in King David. Well, King David is a little bit of a singer, and he was up against Goliath. Well, it seems like we're up against Goliath, this big organization. They have all these lawyers and they're fighting, but you know what? They are going down brick by brick. King David, when he was David and Goliath, well, he used one stone and Goliath fell. And then David came back and he started singing. So when I imagine singing, I think music and all of this go hand in hand. I think in my head, this stuff just all turns. So here's what I put together for you guys. This is a bit of my imagination. I'm going to pull it up. It'll be our little commercial here. Vern, are you there? That's my good wife. Did you want something? Or am I okay? Okay, now I'm going to go ahead here and play the manifestation video. So in this video, we imagine Jesus is helping us along the way, and we're just watching all of this take place. Now, what we're doing is getting involved in Be Free, right? Be Free is coming up, and that is going to be the hugest thing for this ExJw community. It's going to advertise all over the world. The news media will be there, and this is where I think we're going to get some attention. And I think this is the place to imagine. This is what I've been imagining right here. So you ready for it? Turn your speakers down. This is a rock concert. This is going to be a rock concert. Turn your speakers down. And when you get imagining, I couldn't afford to get Nickelback in and Bon Jovi and those guys that I like. So I just created my own. Here it is. That's the kind of crap that goes around in my head.
That's very good.
I think it's in mine too. Vern. It's in mine too.
You know,
Beautiful,
and
beautiful.
it's just we got to have some fun with this too, eh?
That's right.
And, you know, I think we're in a time in history. It's actually, this is a narrow window in history,
Oh yeah.
and we're all in this together, right?
Well, look,
So why not
never-
have some fun with this? King David did when he shot down Goliath. He played the harp, and he started to sing. And I think in the ExJw community that's starting, we're seeing people laughing and getting that stuff out of their minds and putting new records in. And I think what you guys are doing is just fabulous. And I think we got to work together and grow this into something, because all these people are coming and they need this all set up already. And there's so many people that are hurting. And I have some other ideas. I can share another idea with you. I think a place that people can go to would be important. I'm going to see if I can find the screen. And here
Okay.
it is.
Fern,
Go
while
ahead.
you're looking for that, there's a question here for Joe and Fran. Are you
Go
on
ahead.
Discord at all, you guys? Do you know
Yes.
Discord?
Yes.
Okay. Well, if you
So-
want to put out your Discord info, or what do you need, Jay, to get a hold of them?
We don't mind giving our phone
Call
number.
us.
We have people calling us
Call
all the
us.
time or emailing us.
Yeah.
Do you want our
Okay.
phone? You have our phone
Give
number.
me your phone number.
Yeah, well, if you want to give it right now, I will put it in the comments for people, if that's what you want.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
We only live once. 315 221
315.
221
Mhm.
01.
30.
Yours?
Yeah.
Yeah. 30.
Did
Okay.
Yeah. Good.
So 315-221-0130.
Correct. That's it.
And we are
Perfect.
in Eastern.
Yeah.
We're Eastern Standard Time,
Yeah.
so just keep that.
Think about that.
We're like 8:30 right now.
Perfect.
We're in New York State. We're in central New York State. We're near Utica, New York. And that's where we have our meetups, and we would love for people to come. And if we're on the road again, we'll let people know where we're going to be. And we'd love to come and visit you in Vernon, Canada.
Yeah, that'd be
Yeah,
great.
that's lovely.
We'd
yeah.
love to have you guys.
That's a trip.
Yep. Well, we got to go
Yep.
out.
Yeah, just yeah, maybe wait until after winter though.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Our winters are cold.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. It'll take some planning.
So
No,
now
it sounds great.
I have a video I want to share with everyone. And I've been to this place, and I sent my family to this place when I was a JW. And it helped my kids wake up, and my son woke up through this. And it introduced them to something different. It was a health clinic. And how it started was there was two JW sisters, one of them being my ex-wife, that were overweight all their lives, and they couldn't get a handle on their weight. And we find out that cognitive dissonance is a problem with weight control. And we tend to eat a lot if our minds are churning and they can't resolve things. So anyways, this facility has all licensed practitioners, and they helped me wake up. So when I was in this facility, I went in and I took all the stuff. Now, the JW pioneer that went down with my ex at one time, they wouldn't take all the counseling. They sat in their room and read the Bible, which was a waste. When I went there, I said, no, I'm taking the whole program. And I took the whole program, the meditation, all that stuff, and it's excellent. Excellent stuff. And in fact, I went to one program I took, I paid for it, and I broke down and cried, and all this grief came out, all this it was all elder problems I was having. And that's when I started to wake up.
Yeah.
And it wasn't too long after. But these guys, I was going to email them and say, why don't you license a program for ExJWs just for mental health, for CSA? They probably already have it. But here it is. It's just 4 minutes. Watch it with us. And I'll put it on the page. We'll put everyone on backstage for now. And then here it is, 4 minutes.
Sana Vive Medical Institute, located on the Baja California coast, just an hour's drive from San Diego. Sana Vive is one of the most advanced medical and healing facilities in the world. Sana Vive is a unique combination of cutting-edge diagnostics, medical therapies, nutrition, and detoxification, with programs designed to match the personal needs of each guest. Getting here is easy. We'll pick you up from any of several San Diego locations and chauffeur you to Sana Vive. You'll be greeted by a personal guest coordinator upon arrival. As part of our emphasis on whole body health, You will be assigned your own team of integrative health professionals, including a medical doctor, nutritionist, biological dentist, psychologist, chiropractor, and fitness therapist. Each step of your progress toward improved health is thoroughly explained to you. Each guest suite features an ocean view with balcony and is designed to be toxin-free, including shielded electronics and natural cotton linens. Here, you'll be able to leave your day-to-day stress and distractions behind to focus on your physical, psychological, and spiritual health. You're provided with loose-fitting 100% natural cotton clothing for your entire stay. The Sonavive experience is a feast for the senses. Sights, sounds, tastes, smells, and feelings, both invigorating and calming. For many guests, each new day begins with meditation to detoxify and clarify the mind. Early in the day is also when many fitness sessions happen. But of course, the main objective of each day is restoring good health. As a world-class medical center, Sonavive helps patients with serious conditions ranging from neurological and autoimmune diseases to cancer. Sonavive was designed and constructed to provide a non-toxic environment to speed your healing in a beautiful, serene setting overlooking the Pacific Ocean. And you'll learn the value of nutrition, detoxification, and personal lifestyle choices for lifelong health maintenance. An element of health that is rarely featured by other medical centers is biological dental care. At Sonavive, oral health is a top priority. One of the most important concepts you'll take home with you is the major role that diet plays in sickness and in health. Our organic, whole foods diet is nutrient-rich, gluten-free, dairy-free, and 100% delicious. Good nutrition is a major contributor to putting you on the road to a new level of long-term good health. At Sonavive, food is medicine.
Sonavive is a model of what I believe a health and healing facility should be.
Holistic diagnosis, treatments, rejuvenation, healing, along with knowledge, new hope, and new friends. It's all here at Sonavive Medical Institute. Come join us in health.
There we go. So yeah, it's an interesting facility, and I haven't reached out to them yet, but I was thinking of sending them an email and talking to them about this, about what we're dealing with now, and even mentioning to them how they helped me in a bit of waking up through some of the therapies and so forth. And I think if we developed some special therapy just for the ExJw community, something like an ExJw Bible Stories, there's a deprogramming, there's people can choose. Maybe there's a class on, you want to learn about Christian, maybe you want to learn about Gnostic Jesus, something with different things people can do, and then they might meet at the pool. I don't know, but I think something that pulls people together, something where there's professionals guiding everyone, and something that the Watchtower pays for. That's my image. Something that the Watchtower pays for. And Sonavive, it's in Mexico. It's a real neutral place. It enables them to do some holistics. You can research it. It's really an interesting place. I had a buddy that was up here. He didn't go to Sonavive, but he went to another clinic. My wife knows the name of it. But he was going to die. He was given 3 months to die of cancer. He went to that clinic. He's still alive years later. Lots of JWs have went to that clinic. The one I'm thinking of, I can't think of the name for some reason. But there's a lot in Mexico like that. But this one in Sonavive stuck out because it was really different. I went into that with an open mind, and it really does heal. There's some healing. And I think if they could tailor the program for JWs, ExJWs, that's what goes on in my head. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Anything else that you want to bring up before we
Well,
close the showdown?
kind of along with that, Joe and I have always been into health, and we had a health food store a couple different times. We put on classes for people
Mhm.
to eat healthy,
It was a club.
and yeah, so
Yeah. So
we
you
we
guys
got
are
we got that
understand the
background.
whole healthy eating thing.
Yep, yep, yep.
You know what
So,
I found though?
hmm,
Like I spent all that money and took my family there, and then they come back and they start eating potato chips. Like,
yeah, it's a
you
thing.
know, people have to want to do this stuff too,
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
They have
That's
to
right.
want to.
And maybe it's just one aspect. Maybe they just want to get into yoga classes, or maybe they
Yeah.
want to learn how to eat healthier and take, a class in that. So, maybe they don't need that whole thing, which is nice. But
Mhm.
yeah,
I
sounds like
just
a
think the
good idea.
Watchtower should pay for people getting their minds healed. That's what I think.
agree.
And I think it's coming to that. And I think we got to mention that. We got to talk about that. This is something that, news media gets involved. We, different people in the XJW community, they're going to be there at Be Free. They'll be interviewed. These are things that are important to this community, is healing. And that's, I think, an important part of it.
Well, what I haven't seen yet, but it might be, I don't know if they ever would, but usually lawyers line up when they see that they can make money on something. I haven't
Mhm.
seen any lawyers line up. But I think that's the first thing that would be necessary, personally.
The anybody that has a case against the Watchtower criminally, there's no statutory dates on criminal charges. So you can report those anytime. Civilly is where there's problems. That's when you want to sue and get money back. That's tricky because you got to hire the lawyer, you got to sue them. And if you go to court and lose, you have to pay legal fees, at least here in Canada at the other end. I don't know about CSA. There should be some special allowance for all this CSA stuff. These poor victims shouldn't have to go through all this court stuff. And then at the end, if they lose, having to pay. No, that's not fair. So I think that there's rights, there's human rights. I think there's things we need to talk about, and we need to tell the governments this. They're the ones paying 458 billion a year. We're trying to help curb this child abuse with this organization. So either the organization makes some serious changes overnight, or they're going to just be knocked over in lawsuits
Well,
and
they
criminal lawsuits.
are. I know that we get a lot of throwback sometimes when you make statements like the tower is falling, but
Yeah, we do.
even making this business, that organization, they're not able to do what they've been able to do because the rules, the environment is slowly changing. So celebrate each little victory. It's a process.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
look at the shunning videos that they had to disappear this year, right? Tony Morris, they had to disappear him after he doubled down, and then look at what happened in Norway. There's a lot of big events coming up for this org. I'm hearing that maybe there's some news out of Spain, so I'll be digging into that. We have the Norway trial coming up again in January. We have all those individual men charged in Pennsylvania. They're now starting to hit the court dockets. So there's going to be news story after news story. It is happening. So if everybody keeps sharing, the Pennsylvania Attorney General wants to hear about complaints of CSA in other states. So she is obvious. Well, I shouldn't say obviously. That leads me to believe,
Michelle Henry.
yes, that she's building a file because there's an issue here. And if it gets proved in enough states that there's an issue, at some point, shouldn't it become like federal, like racketeering? This is an organization that is behaving criminally, their policies. So
These guys got to go to jail.
Yeah. And it is going to take time. Like each of these court cases is 5 or 6 years because they get one stab at these guys. So it just because we don't see it, it doesn't mean that it's not happening. We have people on tonight from Norway, Denmark. Let me just see here. Mr. Chinchilla's on. Like there's a lot there's a lot of interest from around the world and news and stuff like that. So I just want to say thank you, Joe and Fran, for tonight's show. We really appreciate your time. I'm going to sign off, Vern, and let you read these comments, okay?
Thank you.
Thank
Okay,
you.
so you're going to do the comments. Elora, are you going to put them on? Good wife. Elora, I'm born in JW, moved away to go Catholic college, came home from college. My mom's bestie elder's wife told me my mom would be rolling in her grave if she knew. How about you read them, Shauna? You're a good reader. Yes, Joe, we can accept all our journeys and freedom to express all our views. Elora, mermaid. We can accept all our journeys. Jay, I live approximately 3 or so hours from Joe and Fran. I hope one day we might meet. Yeah, drive down there tonight, Jay. When can Jay come and stay the night?
Give us a call, Jay.
Yeah.
Well,
give
you
us
don't
a
have,
call.
that's a 3-hour drive. You just drive there in the morning, you're there for lunch, and then you go home at night. There, done.
Wow.
Steven, Fran and Joe, you guys look great. Are you not flying in there, Steven?
Yes, Stephen. We
Okay.
know Stephen. Hi,
Yeah.
Stephen.
Hello, Steve.
There's how you reach Joe and Fran, everyone. 315-221-0130. And let's build that database, get that going, Joe. We'll have some meetings. We can have some Zoom meetings, Joe and Fran, just you guys and us. And we
Okay.
can talk about this database. My good wife is really good. That's why I call her the good wife. Aurora Jones, greetings, Mr. Chinchilla ExJw from Mexico. I don't know if I said that right. My Spanish is not good. Fran and Joe are doing a wonderful activity to inform and warn JWs and non-JWs of the dangers of JWs. I think that's great. I think it's a great example for us to get back into the field ministry. Handing out do not call stickers and these cards that warn
Yes.
them. Yes. Great. And we have to get those little buttons. I like the button idea. Fran, I like that.
Vern, at some point, can I just relate a little story?
Go ahead. Yeah, now's the time.
I don't want to take this is about
No, we have as much time as we need. Oops.
just something about PIMO. I guess you could say we were PIMO for a very short period of time.
Mhm. From the time we woke up to the time we disassociated was 1 year.
Yeah.
But we realized that everybody was shunning us anyway. So
Yeah.
what was the use of being PIMO?
Right.
We just said, let's just disassociate, and
Right.
that way we could go more public.
And the goal was to give a very clear signal to the family as to what was needed, and not give any kind of mixed messages. And
Yeah.
besides that, to live honestly, because otherwise
Yeah.
it'd be dishonest.
No.
I know there's an awful lot of friends who have totally different circumstances. Everyone has a different circumstance, and each one is going to have a PIMO is going to have to figure out what they do, what they need to do. But what I will say is there's no way that anybody's going to get free without loss. There's no way. Everyone associated with that organization will suffer loss, one way or the other. And obviously, we try to, no one wants loss. We put it off for as long as we can. We avoid it. But sometimes the more we avoid loss, all we're doing is just postponing it until it's worse. And this is a difficult circumstance to have to deal with. We know we're dealing with some people right now who we constantly talk with them. They're from a distance, and they're PIMO. And
one of them is 75 years old, and
it just disturbs him to no end.
For him.
And
it's hard on the brain, I think.
Well, it is, but see, he knows also that if he declares anything, he's going to lose his family. He has grandchildren and children,
and wife,
a family and wife, and so I understand. I mean, I truly understand that. But there's just a story that always runs through my mind. It's about beavers and trappers and people who like top hats. That's That's what top hats are made out of, beaver pelts. I don't know if everybody
Yep.
knows.
Oh, well, and Canada was big for that in the early
Okay.
1900s.
And,
Sure.
and Mr. Rutherford, he kind of fits into the story as well, because he's the one that said that religion is a snare and a racket.
All
And-
religion.
Yeah,
in my
yeah,
opinion.
exactly. And the idea in order to gain the beaver pelts, you have to trap a beaver. And the way they do it is by putting a trap underwater.
Mhm,
Beavers can swim underwater. They can't live underwater, but they can swim underwater.
mhm.
And that trap has food in it. And if they're just looking for food, they go for the food and they get trapped in it. And usually it's their arm or their leg gets trapped in that trap. And they're going to drown. And then they're going to get extracted and skinned and et cetera, et cetera. But the only way they're going to get free is, and they think about this for a short period before they drown, they realize if I chew my arm off, I'll get free. And so they get free and they don't drown. But they've lost an arm. So there's a cost. There's a cost for
It's a good analogy.
for being free. No
Yeah.
one wants to get caught in a snare. Well, most people who are in a religion are frankly in a snare. And everyone has to develop their method, their means, their escape strategy. They have to, and it's theirs, it's personal. It's up to them. And so we see this, people going through this right now. I for all I know, of our 4 children and their 3 close ones, and for all I know, they're going through that. Maybe they're thinking about it. I have no idea. But I
No.
do know many friends are. They're considering what they need to do. So it's a serious situation, but it's not impossible.
I agree with you. Let people know. Like, I know I sent out an email to everyone I knew that, JWs that would come up and see me once in a while. Sent them all emails. Told them I'm an activist now. I'm online. And nothing.
Yeah,
What did I
yeah.
expect?
Oh, yeah.
What did I expect? Nothing.
But you
You're
never
cut
know.
off.
You never know.
But they push you into it. They started, like my wife says, don't allow them to use words they demonize you. Big deal. They demonize you. But that's what they do. And to me, that was huge. It bothered me and I lost sleep over it. And how could they do that? And so then I had to admit, well, I'm an apostate. I was in a cult. I was in a cult. My brain was in it for 42 years. My brain. I was in it for 30 years. Even when you get out, your brain is still in the damn cult. And you're going to have bouts of anger. If my good wife comes on, she could tell us the manifestation. We don't see our own manifestation. Other people do.
Mhm.
So if she's brave enough to come on, she could say what she's seen. But she's seen some ugly stuff with me as I manifested. But lately, life has been great. Like, since I started accepting I'm in a cult, accepting that apostate carries no weight and demonizing, as soon as you accept that, life changes. Go ahead, good wife.
Well, I won't tell them the really good stories. That's for a paper listen channel later. Anyways, I did want to say that, like, Vern laughs about how admitting, I was in a cult or I put my kids in a cult. They might seem like light moments, but those were very big days. Like, to admit to yourself that, like, Vern wasn't born in, he chose to go in, right? You have to admit that, okay, maybe I was wrong. But yet, one of the first things that we both readily agreed on, and I've never been a JW, just for context, was that the truth that they advocate is not the truth, because I found it insulting as an ex-Catholic at that point. Like, that's rude.
Right.
What do you mean you have the truth, and
That's
being
true.
judged for that?
That's so true.
That was readily acceptable, but to accept the word apostate, that took a lot more work. I didn't understand how much weight they put behind that word, how they twisted it from what it actually really means. they welcome apostates all the time. They welcome ex-Catholics, ex-Mormons into the JW fold. So they technically are made up of apostates themselves.
That's right.
Yeah,
So true.
it's
Yeah.
you got to look at the meaning of these words and what they really mean. Find your own truth, people, because it is personal. You know,
Mhm.
yeah.
Mhm.
Don't believe everything you hear. So that's but don't be
Yeah.
afraid to
So,
learn, right?
so are we ready? You guys ready to pull the community together? That's what you guys are doing, Joe and Fran.
Yes, yes.
You're
we're
pulling the community
doing it.
together. Did you know
Yeah,
that?
yeah. Well, at the sake, see, at the expense of wanting to reinvent the watchtower wheel, we really don't want to pull together another group. We don't want to do that. We're made up of individuals. And what we find has been the most beneficial is when individuals seek other individuals.
Mhm.
Because what always happens whenever any group that forms, it always subdivides. It's just natural. It's a natural
Yeah.
thing. And it's not bad. It really isn't. The watchtower would look at that and say, oh, there's no unity there. Human beings seek their own sort and their own kind, and that's good. And that's our only goal. Our only goal is to connect people of like mind.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, and it really is healing. I'll just give you a short story of one of our friends that she only came to one meetup because she's a teacher and she's got a very busy
Mhm.
schedule. But she had been away from the organization for 30 years. And again, she hesitated in coming to a meetup. But we've been, getting to know her over the past few months. And she did come. And when she came, she said this was so healing. So
Mhm.
if we can just help people to heal and to get beyond, and I mean, she's got a life now. She's a teacher. She left the organization. She had gotten a divorce. Uh, she went to college. She got an education. She raised her children, and none of her children are witnesses. And she's very successful. She's a triathlon.
Wow.
But here, yeah. And she came to our meetup and she said, "This has been so healing for me." And when
Wow.
we hear things like that, it makes us feel good.
Oh, it does.
It
Yeah.
makes us feel like this is worth what we're doing.
Mhm.
So yeah, get people out there, meet people, talk about it, share your story. It's probably the most
I
healing
think
thing you can do.
I think this is great. I think I reached out to Recovering After Religion to find out if there's any groups around our area. I emailed a supposed group. No one really nothing's active. And then the nearest other group was like another province away. I would have to drive like 12 hours, but I know there's lots of XJWs. I'm starting to see them on comments here from our own area. And I think as this time happens, and especially if we build some kind of a program and get this so people can join and figure out where they can meet up just to figure it out.
It's
And it's all XJW. See, when you go through Recovering from Religion, it could be people, ex-Mormons, whatever, but it's not the same. When you're with ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, it's different, right? Than being around a whole bunch of other ex-people, I think.
it was really frustrating because that was our goal, was to find local XJWs. I mean, we were meeting ones from all over the country.
yeah.
Rose
And
Gardner lives in Canada.
oh, good.
I'm
But
not sure which part. Canada's a big place,
yeah,
like the US.
yeah. But anyway,
Yeah.
we
Well, I
signed.
think this is just a start, guys. And you go
Yes.
ahead, finish what you're saying. I cut you
Oh, I
off,
was just
Fran.
going to
Sorry.
say the most frustrating thing was trying to find local witnesses, and we
Still,
just
yeah.
kept reaching out and reaching out, and then
Taking
finally
time.
someone got in touch with us. They knew someone else knew someone. So finally, we just kept working it, and you will find people in your area that
Yeah.
are willing to come out and to meet up. So it's scary, but it's worth the effort.
Birds of a feather will flock together,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
So that's what
right.
we're going to do at Be Free. Birds of a feather will flock together. Are we going to be free it? I can't drive across the border yet. I have to get a new passport. I haven't went across the border for years. I used to run my business, and I was always flying to Vegas because they'd hold seminars there.
Oh, sure.
Went to Israel twice with business. Really interesting stuff on my journey as being a witness, doing that. But I know I wasn't a normal witness. I know that now.
Yeah.
I was doing things that were never qualifying me for an elder. But anyways, that's another story. Today, we really enjoyed your guys' story. And I think this is just a start. I don't think this is a start of something that's going to grow and grow and grow. So
Yes,
here's how
yes.
big it's getting. I think you guys ready for the outro? You ready to say
Yes.
goodbye?
Yeah.
You want to
Yeah.
say goodbye?
Yeah.
And then this is not goodbye. It's until next time.
Actually,
I never say goodbye. I
just-
say until next time.
Vern,
Oh,
just
go ahead.
1 second. Joe and Fran, I'm sorry, David Podos is whose brother-in-law? Joe's, right?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Our button.
He wrote an
Yeah.
article on shunning.
Yes.
So
yes,
check out the
yes.
Fixing My Faith website, guys. It's a long read, which is why we haven't done it in a video, because
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
you can't leave out a part of it and actually appreciate the whole article. But check out the Fixing My Faith webpage. It is on there, like third item on there, big red letters.
Oh,
It's a
thank you.
fascinating article called "Shunning the New Old Hate Crime." So he has some very
I
interesting
would actually
perspectives.
read the whole article. I'd read it.
Yeah.
I'd like to talk to him on the phone, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or even
I'd
on
love
a
to.
Zoom like this. Just talk, have a chat.
Yeah.
Maybe
he
even
would
with
love
you
that.
guys, Joe and Fran.
Yeah. Love
Yes,
to, Vern.
he would
Yeah.
love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And we're available
That would be
all
absolutely
week.
great.
We're always available. You just email us, we set it up, and I'll turn on the
Okay,
stream.
we'll tell
Yeah.
him.
We can have
We'll
the
do
same
it.
kind of a chat.
We'll do it.
Yeah,
Okay,
thank
well,
you, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
Thank you, Joe and Fran, for being here. Thanks, Vern,
Oh,
for the good show.
thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for listening and being here. Love you all. And thanks for the
Love
news
you.
tip by email. I got it. Yeah. So good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good
Thanks
night,
so
thank
much.
you.
Hey, well, thank you. I would like to thank the audience for being here with us tonight. And as time goes on with this community, if you have any good ideas in the audience, please put it in your comments. We do read the comments,
Mhm.
and we do want to take this community to the next level and really help a lot of people. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to do this here. I'm going to share a screen. And this is what we're doing. We're building an ExJw support group. Is that it? That is it. It's a yeah, right here. And so good night. I'm going to say good night.
Thanks, Vern. Good
Thank
night.
you, good night.
Okay, folks, we're getting all dressed up. We're getting ready to go to Be Free. And if you could imagine, who are you going to see at Be Free? You know, and that's a time we're going to roll up our sleeves. And I can imagine the news media. I can imagine the broadcast this is going to do all across the world. And here's what I can imagine. I can imagine seeing a few of our friends down there. And here's a few that I could imagine. So until next time, folks, keep living your life with love. We'll see you at Be Free.
Yesterday was yesterday. I got my eye on all the days ahead. Yesterday was yesterday. I got my eye on all the days ahead. Heroes never stay at home. Never are they all alone. Heroes never stay at home. Never are they all alone. Hold me when it's colder. We're made for each other. In any weather, we're stronger together. Hold me when it's colder. We're made for each other. In any weather, we're stronger In any weather, we're stronger, together. Yesterday was yesterday. I got my eye on all the days ahead. Yesterday was yesterday. I got my eye on all the days ahead. Heroes never stay at home. Never are they all alone. Heroes never stay at home. Never are they all alone. Hold me when it's colder. We're made for each other. In any weather, we're stronger together. Hold me when it's colder. We're made for each other. In any weather, we're stronger together. 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 Whoa, we're stronger together. Whoa, we're stronger together.